Welcome, everybody, to take part in the iCON Chinese Health Forum. How's everybody doing? I'm Barbara Ho. First of all, I would like to do the acknowledge of land. We would like to acknowledge that iCON office is situated on the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I would also like to acknowledge that you are joining us today from many places, near and far, and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. I am the Chief Nurse Officer of iCON Chinese Health Forum, and I'm the MC of today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the 2021 Virtual Chinese Health Forum. Take care of your health, Dementia 360. Briefly introduce what iCON is all about. iCON is being initiated by UBC Digital Emergency Medicine. The main idea is to assist multicultural and indigenous citizens and patients and caregivers to optimize chronic disease prevention and self-management, and to provide reliable and relevant health information to citizens. We not only would like local citizens to take part, we would like to present such health information to further remote or even overseas people, so that we can work together to improve our health. And today, the topic is Take Care of Your Health, Dementia 360. Yesterday, actually, we already had held the first part. We tried to know what dementia was, what the symptoms were, what is early detection important, and what treatments could be offered. And today, we will look at can diet prevent dementia? Food is very important to Chinese people, so this is something we can look at. And also, we look at the mental health of caregivers, because usually it is 24/7 taking care of dementia patients. So let us listen to the experts. Another thing is home safety. And also to learn what is community resources, what can we do to have planning, what are pre-arranged advanced planning, and there will be different experts who will be speaking on these topics to us. And first of all, I would like to introduce all those expert speakers. The first one, there are 4 of them. The first one, I think it would be very familiar to everyone. He is Dr. Tigerson Young, who is a clinical psychologist. He works full-time in a private clinic in BC. And the second one is Wendy Lam. Wendy has done quite a few workshops with us. She is a registered occupational therapist, and currently she works in the Fraser Health Authority. And then she is working in the Queen's Park Care Center. And the third one, if you have ever joined our health forum, you would certainly know her. She is our registered dietitian, Jojo Wang. And currently she works in the hospital and has extensive experience in managing chronic diseases. And the final but not the least, she is Miranda Wong, a registered psychiatric nurse. She registered in Polytechnic University of Hong Kong, and she is currently a case manager of the geriatric psychiatric department. Therefore, she has good knowledge about the resources in the community. And today we have a Q&A section, which would be arranged after the keynote speakers have given their presentations. And if you look at what is in front of you, you can see on the top right-hand corner, there is one place written question and answer. So you can type in your questions either in English or Chinese, and we will collect the questions and try our best to answer it. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Tigerson. This is his topic today, mental health tips for caregivers of people with dementia. As caregivers, when should we ask for help? So Dr. Young, time for you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you.
Health iCON to give me another opportunity to offer my insights with you, and I hope everyone will have a good rest of the weekend, and welcome to this forum. And yesterday we have talked about a lot of we have given you a lot of image about dementia, so we now look at this issue from other perspectives. First of all, we are going to look at it from the perspective of the caregivers. Like Barbara said just now, we have other experts who will share with us their insights on other aspects. Now, let's start with caring for people with dementia. Now, first thing we may think about is stress, all right? Now, what is stress? Stress can be defined as when we encounter a situation, our physiological and mental situation, there's a reaction. So that's called stress. Now, this kind of reaction, this response could be our body, our mind, or emotion, or behavior. And after encountering these things, we have responses. So one of the most important objectives is to ensure our own safety, to ensure our life. For example, if my life is being threatened, what will I do? For example, sometimes our behavior will change, so there will be a fight or flight behavior pattern. So these kinds of behavioral responses will ensue after we have encountered different situations. Now, the sources of these stresses, where are they? First of all, they're external. For example, natural disasters, force majeure, and there are also internal factors. For example, if you feel discomfort, if you have worries, you're depressed, so these will also give you stress. This could be real. For example, if the stocks have gone down down the drain and I've lost a few billions of dollars, so these are real stresses. Now, there are stresses that may be preventable, so meaning that they have not happened, but we expect them to happen. So these also cause stress. So these different sources of stress, they may be different, but there's something in common among them. First of all, things that are novel. Second, things that you cannot predict, unpredictability. And the third thing is there's threat to your ego. And the last thing is that there's sense of low control. So if all these characteristics, if they are more obvious, then our stress will also usually be higher. So on the contrary, like if it's not novel, it's something that we see every day, like if it happens at noon every day, so it's not going to threaten me at all, so then the stress level will be lower. So let's go back to research. Some research has found that there's factors for caregivers' mental stress. So one of the stress factors is the caregiver's age. For example, there's the middle, caught in between level. For example, caught in the middle, meaning that there's a generation before you and the generation after, so you're caught in the middle. That gives you stress. And also the caregiver's own worries, this may also affect their stress level. And also the patient's dependability. If it's higher, if the level of dependability is higher, then the stress level is also higher for the caregiver. So there are other factors that we may not be able to prevent, for example, our own age. We don't live younger, right? We grow as we get older as we live. So, and also the dependability, that's something that we cannot always control, because the dependability may increase as time goes by. So that's something that we cannot have complete control. But if there are ways that we can find to control our own moods, maybe our stress level will not be as high then. So there are some health organizations which can help us, maybe give us an assessment on our family, so assess our family needs, and maybe give some family support, so that way the families can find it easier to deal with their stress level. So from the psychological perspective, something we're interested in knowing is the caregivers, their psychological needs, what are they? So we find that actually for the caregivers' psychological needs, there are myths surrounding those, and they're related. We realize that some caregivers, if they have these myths, these misunderstandings, misconceptions, their stress level would be higher. So on the other hand, if we understand more about these myths, or we can understand more of these unknowns, then we can deal with the stress better. So let's look about these myths. The first one is, a lot of times, the myth that we believe in is that we don't want to increase our family's burden, and I'm the only one who can provide care. Have you seen this before, right? So some caregivers, they're the only one in the family who has to shoulder all the responsibility. So they would just leave their own worries behind and just shoulder the burden all by themselves. The risk for that is that the caregiver will, will be fatigued very quickly, because he or she shoulders all the burden. So to care for someone who has dementia, it's like an ultra marathon, not just a marathon, ultra marathon. So you have to pace yourself. You don't sprint 42 kilometers like in a marathon. But what you need is you pace. So if you pace, then chances are you can run longer. And now the second myth is, a lot of times we see that, is that if you want to take a leave and then you feel very uncomfortable, antsy, you feel guilty, right? So have this kind of thought crept into your mind? Well, some of the caregivers do think that. So they really take their job, so-called job, seriously. But some of the caregivers, they kind of feel too extreme about this. Even a respite or a short rest, they think is something that is illegal, that's against their conscience. So the risk is that they get burned out very quickly. Another risk factor is that they will get tired about this job. Because they're burned out, they're sick, they're fed up with the job, this responsibility. So, and in the end, there could be more problems in their caregiving. So this is one of the very common myths. And the third myth is that, other than having guilt, self-guilt, they don't take a break. They don't want to take a rest. You know why? Because they are afraid. They fear that once they take a break, once they leave the patient, something bad will happen. Has that happened to you? Have you ever thought about this? If you were to ask me, Dr. Young, is anything bad that's going to happen? You know what? I would say for sure. If you were to if you were to ask me if there's any chance that something bad should happen, you know what? Anything is possible, right? So there's a chance you may win the lotto, and so anything can happen. So for us who are into psychology, one of the resolutions to reduce stress is to ask other questions, other types of questions to help you solve your problem. So this the thing is not about whether it is possible, because everything is possible. Like I said, you could be a super what 649 winner, but what are the probabilities? That's what it's all about. This is more pragmatic. So the questions to ask is not whether it's possible, but how probable it is. And then another myth is, a lot of times in our clinical work, is self-care means that I'm being selfish, especially when someone's sick, and when during this difficult time, you even care about yourself. Isn't that being selfish, being egotistic? Now, like I said before, it's a marathon, it's an ultra marathon. So, you have to pace yourself. You have to leave enough stamina, energy for yourself so that you can run longer, so you can give care longer. So caring for yourself and taking a short break does not mean that you're giving up on the patient. It's just that you are stepping back a little bit, and then you think, is that a bad thing? Well, no. And let's look at this next myth. The next myth is that, say, I can only be a caregiver. I cannot be anything else. No, right? No. Everybody plays different roles at the same time in their life. Caring for someone in the family is only one of the roles that we play in life. Caring for someone who is suffering from dementia does take up a lot of time, a lot of energy. Does that mean that this is the only role that I have to play? That I have to sacrifice all the other roles that I play in life, that I assume in life? No. Let's look at it from another perspective. If we could change our role, maybe the ability, the attitude that we take when we care for someone who is sick may be different. So we can get maybe inspiration, some revelation from playing other roles, so that when we take care of our family members, we can have a new perspective. Is that a bad thing? No. So you have to consider that too. And then the next myth is, if a patient is still sick, we should not talk about our own feelings. Someone would feel that if we talk about our own feelings at this time, it's not right, especially when the patient, it will give negative thoughts to the patient. So our brain is funny. Our brain is very complex, and we can have different thoughts in response to different experiences. So there's no right and wrong. There's no good or bad. Emotions, in the end, are just emotions, nothing else. If you're mad at someone, there's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just that your emotional response at that moment. If you're mad at someone, it doesn't mean that you have to slap that person's face. If you slap, that it's a behavior. It's a behavior that you choose to take, but the response you can choose. The behavior you can choose. So we should treat our own emotions from other perspectives to deal with our emotions. Even if we have to take care of someone, then these negative emotions will be lessened. That will help us care for the patient better. The next myth, and it's also a very common myth, is that if we have to move our patient, our family member, to a long-term care facility, we feel that I'm a failure. I'm a failure because I cannot take care of my own family. But is that a fact? Well, actually, really, it's not about the benefits, the pros and cons of keeping that person at home. It's for the benefit, for the interest of the one person who is sick. So you should look at if there are any medications to help relieve the symptoms, or it would be a miracle to have a cure for that. But when this condition progresses to a certain condition, there's no other alternative but to send this patient to a long-term care facility. So it's about the condition. It's not about your being a failure or not a failure. The next myth is that I have to make all the decisions for the caregiver, for caregiving. So there's no way that one person can make all the decisions. You need a whole team, a whole family in order to give effective care. So we have to learn how to delegate decisions to other people. So when we do that, yes, of course, there are risks because they may not do as good a job as you do. They may not meet your expectations. However, if one person is to make all the decisions, does that mean that you eliminate all the risk factors? No, that's not the case, because if you do all the decisions, make all the decisions yourself, then actually that's going to be a delay in coming with resolutions. And I'll just go quickly with the other myths because of time constraints. So this next myth is that, well, we hope that our family member can be cured very quickly. Although we don't want to give up, however, we should not always believe in those so-called remedies. Say if you spend a lot of money on things that have not been scientifically proven or empirically proven, so there are risks involved. The biggest risk is that the patient's condition will worsen. So the last myth is that you feel too busy and you don't have time to plan for your future because you devote all your time to take care of the patient. But does that mean that we should not take some time to plan about our own future, especially if you are caring for your spouse? So you think, oh, this is my spouse, this is my partner, I have to devote all my time for someone who needs chronic care. So, well, I hope that it's been useful for you to share, to sort of break these myths with you, so that these misconceptions will be shattered when you care for someone who has dementia. Thanks for your time. So we have the second speaker for today, who is Wendy. Wendy is an occupational therapist, and today she's going to talk about home safety to prevent falls and slips and falls, to know the home safety issues for someone who has dementia, because a lot of people live with someone who has dementia. And so why are falls important to those patients, and how do you make sure that your home is safe? So Wendy has a lot of information to share with. So
okay,
Andy,
thank you everyone.
Wendy,
Thank you iCON for inviting me to this health forum. And today we are talking about dementia, and also to understand the safety, especially safety in the household, and some practical tips that we should pay attention to. So just yesterday, we have already listened to some information about dementia, and there are actually many people being diagnosed of having dementia. And among us, 1 in 5 are actually taking care of patients living with dementia. And today, we would like to learn about 10 warning signs of dementia. First of all, the first one is memory loss, some kind of loss, and having difficulties managing day-to-day function, forgetting doctor's appointments, or forgetting how to cook, or even self-care. The ability is on the decline. And another area would find that there will be difficulties with language. We may be using an inappropriate word. And also when we go out, there will be disorientation, not just space, but sometimes time or direction. Another warning sign would be impaired judgment, cannot have a good grasp of the health condition. For example, on a day very, very cold, a person may be wearing short sleeves and be very thin clothing on a snowy day. And the next one is difficulties with thinking skills, more abstract things. So for example, on daily life, they have to take care of their bills, have to pay their utilities, and they cannot manage. Then there is another thing, sometimes we just don't understand, putting something in the fridge. It seems weird to place things in strange places, just like playing a watch in the freezer or in the sugar bottle or sugar jar. And also about emotion, just like Targeson was saying, there could be mood changes. For those who advanced dementia patients, there could be aggression and even hitting other people. And yet their personality may change. The behavior as well as the way of thinking can be very different. People may feel that other people are trying to harm them and that they may be paranoid. And for friends or family members, the symptoms may seem to be a loss of initiation to communicate with close members of the family or friends. So these 10 warning signs would be helpful for us to identify. However, when they are getting more serious and severe, of course, there will be examples of aggression. And when there are too many people outside, they may lose their way going home. And when it gets more serious, there will be hearing problem or hallucination. So what help can be offered? What is effective? Yesterday, we talked about some medication that can slow down the progression, but actually there will be some other alternative treatment to maintain brain health. The first thing is to do exercise, physically being active, and also be socially active. Now, of course, now we have social distancing, so go online, chat with a friend online, and also keep challenging our brain. If you don't use it, well, if you don't think from different perspectives, then the nerves and the connections are not being stimulated and they would not be further developing. And eating healthy is also important. And there is one thing important is to make safe decisions with the help of family members, trying to manage your stress. So all these, of course, cannot stop or reverse the progression of dementia. However, they can be very helpful to improve the quality of life and to slow the progression of dementia into the middle or later stages. For early stages of dementia, so there are help that can be provided at home, which we use every day to help them. For example, some calendars, journals, medication reminders that we can use on the cell phone or daily routine schedules. And there are therapists who can prescribe or provide brain exercises. For example, spelling games. Some other people can do puzzles or Sudoku or memory games. And we can also use tablets or smartphones, and there are apps that can be used. You can also give it a try to do some of the following activities, like playing mahjong. This is a very good help training our brain. So after all, challenging our brain with different means would be very important. And at home, we can also have things that we can find in our lives, like digital clocks, or you can have a whiteboard on the fridge, writing down all the appointments, what people you have to see, or even you can write down the grocery list, the shopping list, all the activities that you have to manage as a reminder. For more advanced dementia, they may lose the ability of making phone calls. But actually, you can see on the markets, there are phones where there are pictures on the phone, and they can just press on the picture and then place a call. And there are even more advanced technical devices. You can put it in your keychain, your handbag, or your cell phone, and it will be easy to track down the patient. And there is one old school thing, which is the voice recorder. And for even advanced dementia patients, they may need something called a memory book. As family members, of course, it will be helpful to keep something which is important to the life of the patient. For example, the place where they lived, their favorite pets, their favorite music, their favorite movie. So after all, anything that is meaningful to the patient, and making a memory book so that they can be further reminded. And about technology, we have mentioned about smartphone. There are different apps. Some can help us to train our brain, and other apps can help us to do meditation so that we can manage stress. And some can help us to locate our location so that we don't get lost so easily. And memory strategies, what can they be involved? So most important thing is when you are working on things, try to minimize distractions, shutting off the TVs, radio, so that you can be paying more attention. And a function that you are doing, try to simplify it. Also for daily used items, put them in the same location so that you don't have to look for them. And routine every day. If you could keep a routine doing the same thing at a similar time, then you can simplify your life. And I think some of you may already be doing this. Now, for example, writing down journal, or you're jotting down some experience, some fun things or your thoughts so that you can return to when you're at home. So there is you can play a reminder on a certain object so that the family member can find that more easily. And for some patients, they even have difficulties locating the toilet. And you can mark it, and you can place or you can paint the toilet door totally in a different color so that the patient may remember, say, yellow is the toilet. And another thing is to set a routine. So try to simplify your life so that you repeat the similar things from day to day. And for moderate stage patients, they may have difficulties to remember the steps of putting on clothes. And the family members try not to do everything for them because patients require further stimulation and training. You can give reminder, for example, oh, what is the next thing? Do you think you should put on the coat? Do you think the next step should be buttoning up? Then providing these reminders, because use it or lose it. Otherwise, they would further lose their function. And for a later stage dementia, then family members may have more hands-on help. For example, clothing or going to the washroom or even mobility or feeding. So during this stage, the mobility of our patients will be more challenging, and it is possible that they will be on wheelchair. And during this stage, family members have to learn how to safely prevent falls and to help patients to safely transfer, say, from the bed to a chair or from the chair to the toilet. Sometimes the therapist would prescribe activities or exercise for the patient to maintain their ability of motion. And for the caregivers, you can help the patient with the exercises. And with a language, there would be books that you can help make communication. And if they have difficulties communicating because of the muscles in the mouth, they can point to the pictures. And at home, there are different facilities you can obtain on loan from Red Cross, and your therapist or doctors can give you prescription. So when it comes to a time that you need it long term, then you can consider purchasing them. At home, there could be installation of things like grab bars. It would be a common place for slip and falls will be the bathtubs. So have grab bars next to it. And also there are different lifelines at home. There is one type that offers GPS and where you can put on your body like a pendant. So even when they have gone out, they can ask for help. Another thing, of course, it will be used automatically turned off utensils or small devices like electric kettle. And there are even locks for those oven or stoves. And for day-to-day function, prevention of fall is very important on the stairs or walkways. Try to remove all the clutter and try not to have small mats or small on the floor, because it will be an easy means for people to be tripped. So tape them down onto the floor. And it will be good to install night lights on the walkway or the path towards the bathroom so that they can see clearly when they approach the bathroom. And about the kitchen, it is important to place the heavier things on the bottom and then place daily use items on waist level so that the patient does not have to bend down to get objects. And sometimes we do need to pick things up. So it would be good to use a reacher or ask family members to help. Another thing which is important is after you have spilled something, it's very important to immediately wipe it up with a long handle mop. And at home, it's much better to wear shoes. What about outside? Days like these is wet, or sometimes it can be snowy. So very important is to clean up the walkways. About exercises, well, every week there should be 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activities. So these could be walking quickly, or swimming. And in Richmond, there are organizations which provide assistance with exercises. So there are community programs which offer 20 minutes of exercises. Enrichment or the fall prevention initiative, you can register with them. And also Alzheimer's Society would offer activities that you can do online. So you can go online to reach all this information. So if, unfortunately, we have a fall, so what should we do? The first thing is to stay calm. And if you've got things like a lifeline, of course, press and call for help. And if you have a whistle, then blow it. If you have a cell phone, try to call. But when you discover that you are not really injured, then you can try getting up slowly. First of all, look for a sturdy piece of furniture. And afterwards, try to use your stronger leg and to support yourself, and then support yourself using the furniture and get up. And after you have set yourself down, it is very important to give yourself a few minutes to calm yourself down before you try getting up to walk. And today we have shared what I have prepared, and I thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you, Wendy, for giving us such thorough information. Our next speaker would be, we are talking about food. So food, what role does it play in dementia? Some people would say, what kind of food is good? What kind of nutrition is good to help to slow down dementia or even prevent dementia? And today we are very happy to have Jojo, the dietitian, to explain in detail nutritions that are good for our brain and whether it can be helpful towards dementia. So without further ado, so time to you, Jojo.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, iCON, for inviting me to share with you some information on nutrition. Now, with regarding to dementia or nutrition, we all know that we've heard that we are what we eat. In other words, we are actually what we take in. So talking about physical health and brain health, this is important. So research has found that, has confirmed that diet and brain health are very closely related. Now, one of the diets that have been researched a lot on, that has been researched a lot on, and which has been helpful in our brain health is what we call the Mediterranean diet pyramid. Now, I've said before that a few times that this diet, you shouldn't be too unfamiliar, because one of the researchers has observed 6,000 Americans, and their average age is about, median age is 68 years old, and they found out that this diet in their daily living, and they could delay the onset of dementia by 30%. So this is very important. That means that diet can help your brain health. And after you've read this, you may think that it's difficult, then you don't want to follow it. Actually, there's another encouraging result, which research has found that even if you don't follow it religiously, even if you marginally follow it, like you half-heartedly or half-baked, so you can still delay the onset of dementia by 18%. So this is also helpful. So why don't we just look at this, review this Mediterranean diet pyramid again to see if your dietary habits have improved or not. So Wendy said that exercises are important for our brain, and also we also want to share good foods and socialize with our families and with friends, and this will be also very helpful to our brain health. And another thing is for the pyramid, the top tier of the pyramid, you find that there's the frequencies in terms of daily intake. So all the foods that you should take every day include vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, cereals, and beans and lentils. And the top, the one above is that the kinds of foods that you should take at least once or twice. That means those are fish and seafood. And then there's up above that, there are foods that you should take weekly with moderate portions like poultry, eggs, cheeses, and yogurts. And the ones that you should not take that often are meats and sugars. So in this pyramid, if you don't see them in this pyramid, then don't take it. So the most frequent ones are the ones at the very bottom. Also, water you should drink every day. And red wine is also within this guide. But if you are not a drinker already, you don't have to start drinking wines. But if you have a habit of drinking, then 1 to 2 glasses a day should be good enough. Some people may think, well, this may not be practical. I mean, you're talking about how many servings a day of what kind of foods. So they want some more specific guidelines. So I have come up with something that I can explain to you about. So every kind of health food, how many servings do we need a day? So Brain Health Food Guide, we don't have that in Chinese, unfortunately, but I can still explain to you the contents. So it's similar to the foods you just saw in the pyramid, and the methods of eating them are also similar. It's just that it gives you a very clear guideline on the portions, on the servings. So this is from a based in Toronto, which specifically deals with brain health research. So I will share with you a lot of those tips. And in this guideline, so you can also find it from the Alzheimer's disease website. And this company has done a lot of researchers, different research projects to find out how foods affect brain health. For those who are over 50 years old, if you improve your dietary habits, you don't have to make it a point to say, oh, I have to eat this, I have to eat that. But just in general, if you eat more healthily, say if you usually don't eat enough vegetables, or usually eat out more often, then maybe eat out less and eat more healthy foods. And after 4 months, you will realize that your speed of reading and writing is actually gets 9 years younger. And after 4 months, you see that there's progress in your brain functions. And if you've done that for 4 years, of eating well for 4 years, they found out that they did not experience any memory loss. So those memory loss issues do not happen to these people. So dietary habits, healthy dietary habits are very important to the brain health, to your brain health. So this food guide tells you what you should eat every day. So it's the same thing: vegetables, lentils, beans, legumes, and all that. How much vegetables? 5 servings at least, okay, each day. Maybe you mix it with raw vegetables, and then you have 1.5 cups of cooked vegetables with some raw vegetables. Then you can try that. Or why do you have to eat so many vegetables, so much vegetables? The most important thing is the antioxidant. Why is it important? Because every day there's a lot of nutrients that go into our brain. So when your brain functions, it creates some elements. So we need these antioxidants to protect the healthy brain cells in order for them not to be damage. So antioxidants are very important. So if you eat more vegetables, especially different vegetables, different colors, then you can produce different kinds of oxidants. So you should eat more leafy vegetables or raw vegetables like gailan or choysum, and also cruciferous vegetables, which are helpful to your brain health, especially with some types of cancer. The chances of having some types of cancer can be reduced. For example, cauliflower, broccoli, and kale. Now, fruits, you should eat more fruits, 4 servings or more a day of fruits, a medium size or half cup of fruits, and because they have glucose in fruits, so you should choose proteins with more high fibers. And then there is berries. There's also blackberries, strawberries, all kinds of berries. So you should have at least 3 times of berries a week, and apples are good as well. So 4 servings or more a day of those fruits, because there are antioxidants in them, and then it's high in fiber, which is good for your intestines, and gives you a sense of full stomach satisfaction. In Spanish, they satisfies full stomach. So how many servings a day? I can tell you now that at least once a day, and each time a quarter of a cup, so about 10 pieces. Optimistically, 4 times a week that you should eat walnuts. Why are walnuts important? Some people say walnuts are fatty. It's not good for my cholesterol. Is that a fact? No, it's not, because yes, walnuts are high in fats, but it's also high in proteins, and it also contains fibers. So the nutrients are high, but you should not overeat walnuts because it's high in calories. And omega-3 oil is good for us because it's in the walnuts, and it's good for our eyes, good for our joints. Omega-3 oil is important for those. And beans and legumes are also important. These beans and legumes, maybe us Asians do not eat that much. However, beans and lentils are a type of healthy food because it's a vegetarian food. It doesn't have cholesterol. It's high in fiber. It's high in protein. It could be a meat substitute. So in the Mediterranean food pyramid, you see that we discourage having meats. So use beans and legumes as substitute. You can have twice a week of servings, each time half a cup. And some people say, well, beans and legumes make my stomach bloat. And what you do is you can soak them once, but overnight, and before you cook them. That way, you can get rid of the chances of bloating your stomach. Or you can soak them in water to dilute it. There are other things that can help you digest beans and legumes. So this is a good substitute, a vegetarian substitute. There are things like vegetarian meats, vegetarian chickens. They could be meat substitutes, but you have to know what their contents, what the ingredients are, because some meat substitutes are processed foods. They have lots of additives. Seafoods are also very healthy. So I suggest that you have 3 times of seafood a day, especially fatty fish, which are rich in omega-3 oil, which we can use in our body. So what kind of fish has that? Salmon, trout, sardine, all those fishes have high contents. So fish is also high in cholesterol. Actually, shouldn't affect the cholesterol in your body. We don't want to absorb saturated fats from foods. And another suggestion is that you should take more high fiber foods, not white rice, not congee. You should eat brown rice or things like quinoa or barley. So those are whole grains that can be substituted for rice. Some people say, "Oh, it just fills up my. It's hard to digest in my stomach." But you don't have to change overnight. You can add some of those in your white rice, and then you can adjust your diet. So if you have most white rice and you add a bit of brown rice in your cooker, so it can already increase the fiber intake. So if you don't drink milk, for example, dairy products can be substituted by other things like, say, soy milk or some vegetable milk. And olive oil is something that we also promote because we found out that unsaturated fats are in olive oil, which is very useful in lower our bad cholesterol in our body. So I suggest that you use more olive oil when you cook, not extra virgin, but just all olive oil that you can use for cooking. But you don't burn your wok so red, so black before you do it. So after having suggested foods that you should take, so what are the supplementary foods you should take? Now, the ones on the left side should be good enough. So if you still have a stomach for more foods, I would suggest that less meats and less red meats, pork or processed meats, less of those. And every day, you only eat meats 1 meal a day. It doesn't mean that you take away meats entirely from the other two meats. You can still have proteins like fish or eggs or vegetarian proteins or butter or dairy products. Those are saturated fats which you should avoid. Also snacks you should avoid. So I hope that what I've said has given you some practical tips as to what you should take daily in terms of food. Now, so if someone who has dementia or someone suspects that he has dementia, then he forgets to even eat meals or doesn't have an appetite, the opposite, have too much of an appetite and keeps on eating. But most people just forget to eat, and they find it difficult to concentrate because when they eat, they do other things. So maybe their coordination skills are poor. Maybe they have problems swallowing, problem chewing. So if that happens, the most important thing is that still to make sure that the patient has sufficient intake of nutrients every day. So you should eat foods that are rich in nutrients. For example, when you cook vegetable, you probably don't use that much oil, but still use some oil so that there's intake of calories. Because if someone's appetite is lessened, you can still give them enough nutrients, condensed nutrients. And you should also call them to remind them to eat, remind them to drink water, and together you should eat. You should share a meal together, or share a meal socially, or even on WeChat or WhatsApp. You can have a meal together, so that they don't get distracted and have watch TV or something else when they have a meal. So there's a website that I want to recommend to you. This is a guide that was recommended by the Brain Food. This is in English, but you can click on the right side and you can change it to Chinese, and you can get a lot of good information in Chinese. And it's called Cognicity. So at this point in time, I would like to share with you other resources which you can find online. Well, thank you, Jojo. I mean, all right. Next, we have Miranda Wong, who is our next speaker. So Miranda, she is a registered psychiatric nurse, and today I know I can see that from her PowerPoints that she has tons of information to share with us to take care of early stage dementia patients, how you can seek help, what you can prepare in advance, and what kind of role you can play. So I'm very happy to have Miranda, who can still take some time from a very busy schedule to share the information with us. So Miranda, it's your turn.
Okay. So should we begin with the objectives? Okay. So today, it is mainly to understand the role of a community mental health team nurse and how to learn how to assess or navigate community mental health resources and help, and also to identify existing programs available for patients and or caregivers living in the community, and also to understand what advanced care planning is, which is a very important topic. So what time should we communicate with so that to decide that the patient to be put in a long-term care facility? So Miranda, please explain. So first of all, I would like to introduce our scope of work, our mandate. So it is for 55 years or older. And so for the elder person, the scope of activities, it will be for patients who have behavioral or psychological symptoms or dementia. They may be having aggression, and they may be wandering, and they may have mental health symptoms. And they may have depression or even bipolar. And also, there will be chronic mental health problems, and there will be complicated symptoms. And we will also take in all these patients. And there may be patients who are frail, and their physical condition is further deteriorating. These will also be targets of our patients, and then we are serving them. And we would be having a short-term psychogeriatric consultation. We have ongoing psychogeriatric assessment and interdisciplinary mental health care management. And sometimes we would refer to other appropriate services if the patient does not meet our mandate. And we would refer them to rehab programs. There would be occupational therapists or rehab assistants, or there will be recreational therapists and who can take care of them. And there may be also Bright Spot Day program or one-on-one mental health occupational therapist. So it seems that I cannot hear myself and I cannot see myself. So shall we ask for help with IT support? But anyways, let's continue. And also, though, for those clients who have been referred to our clients, then we would be having programs to stimulate their brain activities. There will be one-on-one occupational therapists assessment to assess their function, to see whether they are suitable to continue living in their own home. And sometimes we pay attention to clients who may be experiencing high stress level, and we would let them take part into a CARES program. For the CARES program, there will be scenarios so that they can learn and they can apply when they are at home, and for the caregivers to provide care for them. And there will be a hotline of 604-709-6785. You can call for referral. And there will be a continuing assessment for geriatric mental health assessment. And when we receive referrals, if it is not included in our mandate, we will refer them to appropriate avenues. So actually, for other areas, there would be similar services provided. For example, for Fraser Health, there is they have the mental health and substance use team. And for Richmond, our family physician referral would be required. And the phone number would be 604-675-3975. And the patients that we, after our intake, there will be a case manager, which is very important. And it plays an important role. And we try to understand their background. So there will be nurses, there may be social worker, or there will be outreach workers who go to their homes. And after a new intake, we will try to see the urgency, whether they have to be taken care of immediately, or we will contact the intake and to make an appointment with the geriatric psychiatrist, so that patients can be followed up, and also to check on the medicine, whether there will be significant side effects. And also, we provide a lot of support and counseling to the patient. Some non-medical treatment to help increase the quality of life of the patient and the caregivers. And as the doctor, as the case manager and the family members, we would discuss and coordinate our care. And if there is a risk in the life, it is important to dial 911 immediately. And if things are not as urgent, then we can arrange to have the doctor to pay visits at home, or to place them in waiting line for further care. But sometimes we have to take care of neglect or abusive action. And in this case, we would cooperate with other departments to deal with cases like this. There is a lot of coordination work. There will be psychological psychiatrist, and so that we can provide accurate reports. And we also would do supportive counseling. Sometimes there may be support groups to release the stress of the clients. And we place communication on a very, very important priority. So we try to enhance the coordination between people like their geriatrician. For people who are living alone, and we may contact with the building manager or to coordinate with their GP so that we could be helping the patient and choosing the most appropriate service. However, if the patient is living in a long-term care facility, then our role would be provide support so that the patients would receive professional suitable support. So actually, this is based on a report that supports 4 different basic supports. The first one is to be done with response. So to help should be personalized. Help should be to enhance the help. And another thing, we are talking about resources. So because of time restraint, I am not talking about individual health authority. So if there would be different hotline provided by different health authorities. So about community health, for the Fraser Health, it would be for Richmond 604-675-3644. For Vancouver 604-277. 604-263-2077. After the assessment, and there will be home care services and also case management. And also they would assess swallowing. And there will be also occupational and physical therapy. And for home care activities, like there will be simple preparation of meals to go on and off bed safely, to get changed. And also we have to take care of the social ability of patients. There are day centers for patients. There would be a small fee which is involved, and there would the fee would include a meal or a snack. And there are 2 places. One is on the west side of Vancouver, and usually the referral is from our department, and usually it is free. And just call them 604-875-1678. And there are a lot of community clubs which provide females or male patients with early onset of dementia, and which is Paul's Club, but that will be for early onset. And the phone number is 778-558-1894. There is another one called Better at Home. So this provide a lot of help for home support services, even snow shoveling. So you can call them by the number 604-268-1312. And another one is Jewish Family Services. And they also provide services to non-Jewish people. And sometimes they can give you a ride to medical appointments. And they have volunteers. The phone number is 604-257-5151. And BC, there is one big non-profit organization being Family Caregivers of BC. And they support family and friend caregivers. And for Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives, during COVID, they still provide services. For example, they have COVID shots appointments arranged, and even provide transportation. And you can go onto their website, ifo@rcrg.org. And what about meals? So there are Meals on Wheels services. For Richmond, for Western meal, there will be MOW, Western MOW. And if you like Chinese meals, there will be Chinese MOW, Meals on Wheels. And then on North Shore, they also have the North Shore Meals on Wheels. And there will be Better Meal services. The phone number is 604-299-1877. If you live in other areas other than Vancouver, the phone number is 1-888-838-1888. And for Richmond, they are even luckier because there is a resource list, and then you can go onto the website and you can see a clear resource list. Now, we have listened to a lot on how to take care of family members. So how to take care of ourselves? So don't forget to go to your family doctor, and don't forget to handle your financial arrangement. So besides that, sometimes family members or caregivers would need to take a break. And for example, some people have to go through a surgery, and then you would need to look for somebody to take care of your patient. So for new cases, then you can call 604 822-7521. And then if you have a case manager, you can call through your case manager. And see, so if you are near UBC, there will be another phone number for you to call. And then you can also go to our website. There is one big resources, which is the Alzheimer's Society of BC. There is a Chinese hotline, which is 1-833-674-5007. And they have individual support. And the most welcome would be what they call the Minds in Motion. So there will be resources for the patient as well as their caregivers. So make sure you give them a call. And many a times, many people have forgotten that elderly people can be abused or neglected. And there is a report in our office. So in the province of BC, about elder abuse and neglect is over 40%. So we have to pay attention that elderly persons can be easily abused and neglected, and there will be a lot of risk. So if you face immediate risk or danger, then of course dial 911. Otherwise, you can call a hotline called SAIL, S-A-I-L. And the phone number is 1-866-437-1940. And for Vancouver, 604-437-1940. So their time would be from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. And you can also go onto their website. There is a Chinese translation too. And there is the hotline, the health hotline, 811, which offer information in multiple languages. So let's go to advanced care planning. So it seems like a will, which is
this
offered.
is something that you should do when you when someone is alive. And so in 2011, on September the 1st of 2011, there is legislation in BC for BC citizens, residents, that if they can make advanced care arrangements so that they can act according to our wishes. Okay, so there are many plans in the course of life. So planning such as health or financial affairs or just legal affairs or so. So we can also make advanced planning for those. When we do that, it's very simple. There are three parts. There are three processes. So what are those three aspects? So what matters most to you? We can have personal care decisions for you if you cannot. So then you should discuss your thoughts with the people you trust and your healthcare providers, and then plan according to your wishes. And so you write down your wishes and you plan and give the people you trust a copy, as well as your care providers, a copy. So we have to do ongoing assessments because we have to tailor our plans according to what's happening around our lives and those changes. So whenever there are changes, you should revise those plans and give new copies to those you trust and to the healthcare providers, so that they have a copy of the plan in hand. In British Columbia, so the advanced care planning should consist of the following. So you should have a conversation with your family or friends and healthcare providers about your beliefs, values, and wishes, and have a written record or video of your beliefs, values, and wishes for your future healthcare treatment. And also, there's something called My Voice. My Voice, you can download that webpage to find out more information. And what you need, we will need to have the decision makers' full names and contact details. And British Columbia, usually is the spouse or the children or even parents who act as the decision makers. So if you have not written down those, and it will delay your time for getting treatment. But if there are things that you don't want someone else to make decisions on your behalf, you should write those things down too. For example, for medical matters, you should find someone who respects your wishes, who share the same value system with you to make those decisions with you. And those people should be able to do that. So they will also deal with conflicts and disagreements. They will be willing to assume that role, and they will communicate with you and protect you, your interests, and be your advocate. But there's so many delays that I cannot find those slides. Now, in British Columbia, the only way to get someone who make decisions on your behalf is making a representative agreement. There is some power of attorney, but there is limitations to the power. So for someone to make decisions for you for financial and legal matters, let's look at the next slide. In British Columbia, there are 4 choices for you to make that. You can draft a Section 7. There's the Standard Representation Agreement. There's the Enhanced Representation Agreement, which is Section 9. There's also the Advanced Directive, and there's also the Enduring Power of Attorney. So what are those things? All right. So if you are capable to and know what you're doing, so what do you mean by capability to understand? That is, you understand the nature and the effect of the documents. So, for example, in Section 9, the Representation Agreement, it says that they can make decisions on your behalf for your healthcare and personal care directives. And there's the advanced care, these are advanced care directives, and there's the enduring power of attorney. Some people say that I don't need that because I only need someone to make decisions for me for minor affairs. Then you can draft a Section 7 document. Right. A Section 7, so if you need someone to help you, you can draft that up to deal with simple healthcare matters, personal care matters, or even financial and legal matters. But they cannot make decisions on your behalf to refuse or to accept on your behalf in terms of maintaining care to sustain your life. And another thing is we call advanced care directives. It's also a legal document you can discuss with your family, with the authorities, whether you want to accept or refuse certain treatments, for example, resuscitation, or even feeding you, this kind of legal documents. You need 2 people to sign. If you do that in a notary public's office or a lawyer's office, you only need 1 person to sign other than the lawyer. So that should be in your plan. Now, these are legal documents. So there are websites where you can find more information from for simple matters. But if there are complex issues, you should go to a lawyer's office to consult them. So there's also a NIDAS website that publishes Chinese literature on Section 7 and Section 9 documents. So you have the time for that, just visit that website. Finally, you may want to ask, I have done everything that I can to help the patient, but when should I decide, when should I consider that a nursing home is appropriate for my loved one? So let's look at that. So now we have family and friends, community and person, and if everyone has done their best to help the patient to remain home to receive care, but for the safety of the patient, we should consider moving to a facility. So we can move that person to a private facility or facility that is managed by the health authorities. There are 2 ways. There are 2 types. There's the assisted living and there's the long-term care. So there are telephone lines that you can consult them from. So what is assisted living? So the eligibility for that is that you have to be able to receive home and community care services, be able to direct their care and make decisions, be able to communicate and be understood by others. And in cases of emergency, you're able to make appropriate responses, such as fire alarm. You know what to do when there's a fire alarm, right? And also you will not do things that can harm yourself or harm your family members. So if you cannot help your patient in those aspects, then maybe this person is the right candidate for a facility. And there's another facility called long-term care. So we talked about safety. So if someone is prone to falls or aggressive, or we have done our best, either using medications or not using medications, still those issues often happen. So it would be appropriate to move them to a facility. And maybe it's reached a stage where you have to help them, support them, to transfer them from bed to toilet and from bed to other places. Then you should consider moving that person to a long-term care facility. And maybe after that person has suffered a stroke, then you don't have alternatives. Or after a fall, you don't have any alternative. Or after a surgery, you have not fully recovered from the surgery, or self-neglect. For example, the sleepwalking, or someone just walks in the middle of the sleep outside to do something silly. So maybe incontinence or things like that, or scatolia, that will increase the stress on the caregivers, that may affect their marriage, that may affect the caregivers' own health. Then we should consider moving the patient to a facility. So the main thing is we are helping and not giving up. Yes, if we need to move the patient to a facility, then there are phone numbers that you can call. Now, I want to pass the mic back to Barbara.
So towards the end of our forum today, and we thank all the audience to pay attention to our program and to listen to all the specialists giving a lot of information. I would like to acknowledge a few of our partners. I would like to thank BC Health Ministry because of their support. And therefore, our iCON has been in operation for 13 years, and this is our 14th year. A lot of gratitude to them. And this one, please go to BC Health Ministry and go to the booth. So there is one which is the guideline for seniors, and you can download for them Seniors Guide, and they are in English and in Chinese. Two different versions. So please go and take a look. And then another slide, please. And there are a lot of community partners like Success, which is very important, and Alzheimer's Society BC. We have a lot of support for them. Vancouver Coastal Health and Canadian Health Association, Canadian Health, British Columbia, and Villa Cathay, and Richmond Cares, Richmond Gifts, who is helping us. And there is a lot of media partners, Fairchild, Ming Pao, Sing Tao, Talent Vision, Fairchild Radio, South Vancouver Neighborhood House, Diversity, and IMC, and also Kawa Health Forum. And finally, I would like to give thanks to the health exhibitors. So remember, these health exhibitors are on for 1 month, and you can go through the Success Alzheimer's Society, just like what I've said, the busy Ministry of Health, family givers, RCRG. I would like to also say Success and Alzheimer's Society. They are offering another forum, and then from our exhibition forum, you can find a poster. This is the one. So you can take up your phone and then take a shot of the QR code. If you're interested, I think there will be a lot of information to present to others. And finally, I would like to express our thanks to our guest speakers again. And you have been attracted by their excellent speeches. Dr. Tigerson Young, Wendy, our registered occupational therapist, Jojo Wang, registered dietitian, and Miranda Wang, community psychiatric nurse. And so the information is excellent and abundant. And we would like to thank C2 Sky Christina and her team to organize this virtual forum. Thank you very much for their technical support. And there are a few interpreters. So when you listen to the Chinese or the Mandarin, so you can listen to Shiny Tan Susan Yao. For English is Josephine So and Benny Loy. And thank you for the enthusiastic interpretation. And thank you so much. And finally, I would like to thank iCON team. Actually, behind the scene, there is Susanna Ng, there is Joanne Rockwood, Henry Soring. They have been doing a lot and having a lot of support to us. And there are many other volunteers behind the scene giving us a lot of help. And finally, I would like to thank Barbara. You have seen her performance in the past 2 days. So not just those past 2 days, there was a lot done by her preparing for the forum. And the most important, I would like to thank all of you, audience, because when you come to this forum, it's because you take very important perspective at your own health and the health of your family. And we really do wish that we have helped you to know more about dementia. And we do hope that we are going to hold more workshops on different topics. And we know that there are a lot of questions regarding dementia. We are going to hold a specific workshop answering all those questions. So please go on to our website, keep track of our development, and then you will be notified if you have already registered. And for online, I have to say goodbye for the time being, but I know we are going to have a good time down the road, and we are going to use time to help yourself and help each other so that we can live a very vibrant life. Thank you. Bye.